Yo guys, welcome back to a brand new video. Today we're taking a look at Ares with his new uniform, and he also received a tier 4 recently, so we're going to be testing him in PvE, starting off at Transcended potential level 70 and then moving on to tier 4. So this is what his build looks like right now. It is a bit underwhelming. I'm also using him without an artifact and a base rage. Rage is a better option for him because he has guaranteed crit in the brand new uniform. So yeah, now that we've taken a look at his build, now we can move on to the rotation I'm going to be using throughout the video. It's 6 cancel, 5 cancel, and then a very slight delay on 3 cancel into 4. You get around 250 hits every proper rotation, and without the Transcended potential skill, you still get about 150 hits, which is actually insane. So now let's move on to the testing. We're going to be keeping scores here, and let's get started with World Boss Legends. Since his build is comparatively weaker than all the other characters that I've been testing recently, I'm opting for a very easy stage 10 of Kang. So yeah, with the brand new uniform, he actually changed his typing from a combat male alien hero to a combat male alien villain, which is very interesting. However, I think he still qualifies for a decent amount of restrictions in World Boss Legends. One thing that I like about him is his survivability is very good because he has auto heal. So anytime he takes any damage, he'll start healing, which is actually pretty clutch for certain scenarios where you take a lot of damage and you can't really get off your healing skills. However, if we talk about his damage output, it was slightly underwhelming. Yeah, I know he is at level 70 Transcended potential, but still I expected him to be doing a lot more than like 1 or 2 bars of damage per rotation. Maybe just after using Zeus for so long, my brain is fried. Yeah, with that being said, we're almost near the end of this run, and it seems like we're gonna be finishing with around a minute left on the clock. Not the best, but still with the build he's been given, I think we'll take it. We have our first scores on the board, and now we can move on to Alliance Battle Extreme. Now, even though our first test was slightly underwhelming, I still have high hopes for Alliance Battle Extreme, given how many hits he has in every single one of his rotations. And not only that, in Alliance Battle Extreme, he qualifies for one restriction only: combat villain. He's going to be competing with the likes of Hulk, Dr. Octopus, and Kingpin. Now, I personally use Kingpin, and I have been satisfied with how he's been scoring for me. However, if Ares' score is comparable to Kingpin, I might end up replacing him. Now for Alliance Battle Extreme, Ares has all 3 cancels, which makes him versatile for every single season, and you don't really have to rely on your tier 4 striker as much. But yeah, compared to a normal tier 3 character, Transcended potential characters do have a slight disadvantage, but regardless, we're near the end of his run here, and it seems like we're going to be barely crossing the 12 million mark. Not bad for my account, especially at level 70. And now we have our scores for Alliance Battle Extreme logged in. Now we can move on to Alliance Battle Legends and see how he does here. Unlike Alliance Battle Extreme, he actually qualifies for a lot more restrictions in Alliance Battle Legends. He qualifies for combat villain male, villain alien, villain male, and combat alien. While some of the restrictions are absurd for him to be even in conversation with the likes of Mephisto, however, it's going to be interesting to see how he performs as a combat alien, because a lot of you guys don't really have a combat alien right now in your roster, because the best option for that is Gladiator, and Gladiator is locked behind a very expensive deluxe spec, and not to mention he's a premium native tier 2 character. So if Ares performs really well, I can definitely recommend you guys to build him up for combat alien restriction. But yeah, he has 2 out of 3 cancels in his kit. Only cancel he's missing is shock, so we had to use Proxima every time in this run. With that being said, we're near the end of this run, and it seems like we're struggling to hit 6 million. Him having to rely on Proxima significantly affected his score. But with that being said, we have concluded our testing at Transcended Potential level 70. And just like the Zeus video, I'm gonna be tier 4ing him straight off the bat. We're using another mega rank up ticket on him. So without further ado, let's get straight into it. That was a goofy animation, but now we have him at tier 4. We see a massive improvement in his physical attack, almost 30,000, and also in his HP. If he was for PvP, that would have been very useful. But yeah, let's take a look at his build once again before we get back to our testing. I've made some changes to his Urus, and basically everything else stayed the same. We're still using him with the base rage, but can he really earn a mighty rage? Let's find out. Clean slate, we're back with World Boss Legends. We're doing the same exact stage as we did before, and I can't wait for him to absolutely annihilate with the 30,000 extra physical attack that we just got. So already we can see in his first rotation, he deals heaps of damage. I have a feeling this is going to be really fast, so let's see how quick we actually finish this stage. We're near the end of this run, and it seems like we're ending with over 3.5 minutes left on the clock. That is an insane improvement from the previous run. With the World Boss Legend test complete, we can now move on to Alliance Battle Extreme. So I'm using Miles Morales with his brand new uniform as a striker, because honestly he's been giving me the best results. So yeah, it's gonna help Ares' score significantly. But how much better will our scores be? Let's see how this run ends. Now we're near the end, and it seems like we're going to be able to cross the 15 million mark. He's using a base rage, so it's actually pretty impressive. He might give my Kingpin a run for his money. Now that we've concluded our Alliance Battle Extreme run, we can move on to Alliance Battle Legends. Previously, Ares was struggling because I had to sub in Proxima for the cancels. However, with the help of the tier 4 striker, we're gonna be getting a much better score. One more thing that I want to mention is that he has a VPAD in his first skill, and even though the VPAD is pretty short, you can actually use it to your advantage, especially in Alliance Battle Legend, to dodge his hits and also get the Odin's mites. But yeah, I'm gonna quit talking for now and see how we conclude this run. So we're near the end of this run, and it seems like we were able to cross 10 million comfortably. I didn't expect him to score 12 million because of his build. However, this is very impressive. We saw a huge improvement compared to his previous score. And yeah, with that, we conclude our testing for Ares. And since we have all the scores on the board, we can finally move on to the comparison. So we started off with World Boss Legends. Our first run took us 235 seconds. We brought it all the way down to 84 seconds, which is a reduction of 151 seconds. That's 64% faster. Then we moved on to Alliance Battle Extreme. There we started off with a 12.13 million score, and after tier 4ing him, we scored 15.47. That's an increase of 3.34 million in score and an improvement of 27%. And finally, we ended it off with Alliance Battle Legends. Our initial scores were 5.84 million, but the improvement was a massive 10.63 million, which is a difference of almost 5 million. That is equivalent to exactly 82% more. That is massive. That concludes our final comparison. Ares is actually a really solid PvE character. He ends up being a very good cheaper alternative to Gladiator, and his scores genuinely hold up. Plus, if you need someone for the villain alien restriction, you can also use him to replace Loki. Alternatives are Hades, but Hades is very expensive. But for overall gameplay, Ares feels a lot better and smoother and still puts up very competitive numbers. Tier 4ing him was absolutely worth it. And honestly, what an insane month for the meta. Everything has been shifting non-stop. But yeah, it's been all for the better. The game feels alive again. But with that being said, we come to the end of this video. If you guys found this review helpful, be sure to drop a like and subscribe for more Marvel Future Fight content. Leave a comment down below if you guys are gonna tier 4 Hades as well. But that's it from me guys, thank you all for watching and I'll see you in the next one. Peace!